I believe that liberals love to point their finger at conservatives and blame them for the lack of progress in America. My belief is that liberals are in fact the ones to blame. Now I say this as a liberal, so I'm just futzing with the light here. Okay, so I say this as a liberal who wants to see genuine progress. Now in the last couple years, there have been a lot of really interesting, insightful voices that have come out of the right. Former right-wing media pundits, former GOP strategists, talking Matthew Sheffield, Stuart Stevens, everyone out of the Lincoln Project. A lot of super interesting and what I feel like is very fair critique of the right and how that whole establishment takes advantage of their audience without concern to their emotion. It exploits them without concern to the truth. And I think there's a lot of fair critique there. What I don't hear is a lot of similar critique, self-critique from the left. And it takes two to tango. And my perspective is actually that the left has a lot of responsibility to bear for the lack of progress. So to explore this, I want to give a little story, a hypothetical story. Roger Red is an orphan, and he lives with his foster father, Mr. Fox. Mr. Fox doesn't care about Roger Red. He is in it for the money, he's in it to exploit Roger Red, or he just doesn't care at all. He's just in it for his own interests. Roger Red really wants Mr. Fox's approval because he doesn't have anybody. And so he goes to Mr. Fox's club meetings, he starts wearing the same clothes, he starts saying the same things that Mr. Fox says, emulating all that. And so let's stop there. Down the block lives Liberal Linda. Liberal Linda sees what's happening, and she's very unsettled by this relationship. So she decides to do something. In my opinion, she has two choices. Choice one, she can go to Roger Red and say, hey, I sense that you are a deeply loving person, and that there are a lot of things a lot of the things that you're saying and doing might feel inconsistent with some values that you have inside. Now, if that ever comes to a case where you need a new place to live, you're always welcome in my home, my motley crew of adoptees, him, hers, and theys, and you can come over here and stay with us. All are welcome. There's always room for more. Choice two, Liberal Linda can say, Roger Red, what is wrong with you, you fucking idiot? You are everything that is wrong with our neighborhood, and I spit on people like you. In America, I think Liberal Linda has chosen option two. Now a new person moves into the neighborhood. Let's call her Donalda the Witch. Donalda is just as uncaring, you could say arguably as evil as Mr. Fox. Arguably, right? But Roger Red doesn't know this. And Roger Red does know that he wants to move out of Mr. Fox's house. Donalda reaches out a hand and says, Roger Red, come live with me. I'm tough and I will protect you. Roger Red says, okay, looks over at Liberal Linda's house and says, well, yeah, sure, I'll give it a shot. Moves over to Donalda's house. Turns out Donalda's house is just as bad, maybe worse. Now, Liberal Linda has two choices again. She could apologize and say, you know, I think I was a little bit harsh, and my offer stands that if you'd like to move in, you can. Or she can double down and say, oh, you idiot, you made the wrong choice, I can't believe you, all these things. And in America, I think that Liberal Linda has chosen number two. I'm saying you're referring to the entire liberal establishment, if that metaphor was not clear for some reason. Into the neighborhood moves QAnon Quagmire. QAnon Quagmire. Where do you think Roger Red heads next, right? The more unwelcoming Liberal Linda has made her house, the more she has established that, the more likely Roger Red is to continue hopping from home to home in search of a safe place to land. And I think we see this right now, where a lot of people are questioning their involvement in QAnon. Ultimately, it comes down to this. The two political parties are trying to sell their ideology to America, their set of beliefs. If there are two businesses that are trying to sell me a product, but one of them thinks I'm an asshole and openly, publicly calls me an asshole and says all these like pretty cruel things about me, even though I feel like I've done nothing to merit that and nothing to actually even offend or attack this first business, I'm going to shop with the second business, even if that incurs a higher personal cost. If it's a higher price, if it's further away, time, money, doesn't matter, I'm more likely to just go over there. And I think that liberals need to give some deeper consideration to the rhetoric, to the semantics, to the moral superiority, to that moral high ground. I just keep dishing metaphors, but I think I made the point. Because I think it's actually become exclusive in this way and non-inclusive and really unwelcoming. And with the structure of democracy that we have in America, it is obviously essential, crucial to get a majority of people aligned behind the issues. And if you look at poll after poll on many issues, the vast majority of Americans agree on a lot of topics like racial justice and closing the wealth inequality gap and all these things, and yet there is no progress. And I think that's because people haven't united enough together, in my opinion, because liberals have done, have not done a good job of actually living up to the values of being open-hearted and welcoming and thoughtful, compassionate. So those are my thoughts about this. This is what sort of a sum of my thoughts about how progressives are actually, ironically, the ones responsible for stalling progress in America. Not because the issues themselves are that controversial, which is, I think, what a lot of progressives are bewildered about. How is this controversial? How do you disagree with this? But rather because the semantics, the framing is wrong. That's it for today. If you like this video, please like it. If you think someone you know might enjoy it, please share it to them. If you comment, I just ask that you be respectful. Obviously, political thoughts can get very heated very quickly, so just keep it cool. That's it for today. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the future.